Welcome to Sy's Green Scene. I'm your host, Sy Lewis, and I'm thrilled to have you join me today. Together, we'll dive into the world of renewable energy, exploring the latest advancements, eco-friendly practices, and the incredible individuals shaping a sustainable tomorrow. So, get ready to be inspired and empowered, positively impact the planet. And today's guest is my good friend and the director of the Northwest Austin Council, Steve Robinson. Thank you, Steve, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So, will you tell me a little bit about yourself and NAC, which stands for Northwest Austin Council?
Absolutely. Well, Northwest Austin Council is exactly what it sounds like. We're a community-based organization that's been in existence for 52 years in the northwest corner of Austin. Our primary goals or pillars are based around public safety, education, and housing. And anything within those realms we've worked on over the last 52 years or more.
Wow, that's a really long time. That's to be in a community. So how do your roles intersect with sustainability?
Well, our roads have really intersected with sustainability because for almost 35 or plus years, we actually had what's known as a LIHEAP energy program. And for many of those that don't know, LIHEAP energy is the program where people were afforded grants for the energy bills, primarily in electrical and gas. And for almost 35 plus years, we housed and facilitated people in the community for paying their bills.
Oh, that's amazing. So I know that you had, your sister was on staff
Absolutely.
during that time. She is also another person who's been with Northwest Austin Council for a very long time.
Absolutely.
So what did you think about that program, the LIHEAP program?
I thought it was a great program to help people in community because most often the bills were extremely expensive. I remember one time we had an individual who had a $4,000 gas bill. And if I could remember correctly, 2/3 of that bill was paid for through the LIHEAP program.
So I find that to be very impactful. We don't do LIHEAP at Meadows Resource, but we do refer people out. And I find that with this program and the money that people are able to save, it really centers around sustainability in terms of what they can do to sustain their livelihood in their home. So a lot of homes have been saved on this program itself. So I know that you have also been an activist, so to speak, an advocate,
Absolutely.
an advisor with the utilities, both, well, I shouldn't say both because there are several. There's ComEd, Nicor Gas, Ameren,
Right.
and then other utilities as it affects Illinois through a program called the IQ North Leadership Team
Absolutely.
and the LIAC, correct?
Correct.
So can you tell us a little bit about that program?
Okay. First of all, IQ North stands for Income Qualified. And when we say leadership team, it is exactly what it is. It's a team of 5 members from the northern part of the state and 5 members from the southern part of the state that actually act as pretty much the watchdogs or the eyes and ears for the community. And primarily these individuals have to be from a CBO, a community-based organization, and they have to be in a leadership role, meaning either an executive director or CEO of some sort.
Okay. So with that program, the IQ North, where do they pull their members from?
Well, the last group of members that we had came from pretty much the northern part of the state, primarily the city of Chicago. We had individuals such as myself from the western part of the city. We have individuals from the far east side of the city, such as yourself,
right?
And some that are in the central part of the city, and I would say the low income areas in the city.
Okay. Okay, so for full transparency, I have been also a part of the IQ North leadership team and find it to be an amazing way to advocate for our community. Everything from pushing the utilities to provide air conditioners, the point being that if the city wants you to be warm in the winter, because we know how that will impact your health, then conversely, they should want you to be cool in the summer.
Right.
Because both can be as devastating as the other.
Right.
According to climate activists, and as well as the what's the Farmer's Almanac, we are projected to have an extremely hot summer,
Right.
and as everyone can see, it's been extremely wet. So, what are some of the kind of projects or things that you push the IQ leadership through?
Well, I don't know if I know you recall, but the electrification program was one of the biggest programs that should immediately be taken off, because what it's doing is it's bringing people away from the use of natural gas. And the electrification program, you're actually introducing electric heat pumps instead of gas furnaces. You're introducing electric water heaters and air conditioning systems. Also, I think there was one other thing that was solar was a part of it, but it's a side part of electrification. But those three units, air conditioning, heating, and hot water, are some of the main issues that we want to pull away from natural gas and put on the grid system.
So, Steve, I know you have a master's in science. What can you tell our audience what your master's
In engineering.
is? Engineering. I'm sorry, in engineering.
Okay. So actually, my master's is from the Illinois Institute of Technology. I have a master's in industrial operations and logistics, and it technically means that I have the ability to work with anything that's dealing with structures, processes, procedures. I utilized it mostly when I worked for the last company I worked for, which I was in charge of what's known as a CNC operation, which stands for Computer Numerical Controls, and I utilized it to run our operations technically through what we call lights out manufacturing, where we would set the machines up and let them run overnight, and then we have a group of guys that would come in and program the machines, which there's it's a pretty technical thing because you have to know G code, which is a whole nother series of information. But again, the logistics behind all of that, my education at Illinois Institute of Technology came in handy because I was able to run a whole department for 3 shifts, 7 days a week with just 9 guys.
I think that's one of the things that make you uniquely qualified to be a member of the IQ North leadership team. There's so much technical information that comes across the desk here. And I think that the audience may be interested to know why this is so very important as a part of this sustainability show here on Cy's Green Scene. And so what does it take to become a part of the leadership team?
Well, you really want someone that's a strong advocate for a community. You want someone that can go out and battle the energy companies and be a big advocate for those in our communities that are underserved and overpriced. And we call them the ratepayers, right?
Right.
We want to be there for the ratepayers, which really primarily means you and I and everybody that's out there paying these absorbent amount of fees for our energy costs. And there's a portion. What's the portion? So you know it. There's a portion that goes into every bill.
So on every utility bill, there's a fee that goes into energy efficiency, and it rounds out to a little over $3. So if ComEd has 4 million ratepayers paying their bills a month, and $3 is taken out of every ratepayer's bill amount that they pay, that's $12 million a month. Okay, so those are energy efficiency dollars. And so the question that we should be asking as ratepayers, as community members, as community organizations, both
Right.
CBOs and CAAs, is where is this money going to? Because they've eliminated so many projects that they do. Yes, they've added some, and they're very good programs, but one of the things that I think is so important to our community is to be cool in
The summer.
the summer.
Right.
Because there is an ordinance for senior buildings
Right.
and having to have, an air condition in those units, but seniors live in homes, they
Right.
live on their own, and these things should count. But it's not just senior. You could be a person with a disability, doesn't have to be that. You could just be a person who suffers from asthma
Right.
or suffers from headaches and allergies. If you're in a home that's overheated by the elements outside, then it is something to be addressed by an air conditioner. Because as we know,
It should be a human right.
it should be a human right.
To have quality of life.
It's, yes.
Like as you're speaking of. I don't know if you remember back in 1995, there were over 800 people died from the extreme heat that summer.
Absolutely. I will never forget
In Chicago.
In Chicago, they had to bring in refrigerated 18-wheelers.
Because there were so many bodies, they had to refrigerate people outside of the morgue.
So we don't want to see something like that happen again. And I think that one of the things that's really important is how do we advocate as individuals, to our listening audience,
Right.
and then how do we advocate as groups? So I would like for you to talk a little about not just the leadership team, but first the advisory council. How does a person become a part of the advisory council?
Well, there was a good process that we that we thought we started, which was an outreach program where we wanted to just reach out to people all over within our boundaries of Leadership's Team North and try to get those individuals a part of the advisory board or the advisory council or the advisory leadership team, because we want to bring in and encompass as many people as we can to be a part of this. The more voices, the more choices. The more choices, the more we can have to help our underserved communities.
Absolutely. So block clubs can be
Absolutely.
a part. Community-based organizations, community action organizations, churches. All of this is important to you. So let me give you an example of how this is important to you. At one point, you were paying to pay your bill. So you would use your credit or debit card to pay your utility bills, and then they would have a fee. So the burning question was, if I have to have LIHEAP, if I don't have any money, then why are you charging me, basically taxing me another tax just to pay the fee? And then that's one. The other is, why, if you are already income eligible, are you having to put down a deposit to just have electricity? So, and then the other thing is, so that's 1, 2, and the next thing is, what about the weatherization programs?
Right.
What about the LIHEAP and CETA programs? So yeah, we know they exist, but do you really know all of the things that they offer?
Right. That's the $365,000 question. What else is offered?
What else?
And again, you said the weatherization. You can get a new furnace. You can get a new hot water tank. They actually do windows. I mean, it encompasses anything to do with keeping your house cooler in the summer and warmer in the wintertime.
Absolutely. So if we think about the dollars spent, okay, so now we have this listening audience that says, hey, I've got my bill. I'm going to go and look at my bill and see exactly what I am paying for. Mm-hmm. Income qualified is the term used because low income doesn't fit as well as the words income qualified. So let's say you're making $100,000 a year and you've got 6 kids in the house and a wife. Mm-hmm. Are you qualified for this program? Quite possibly. So it's going to give you the parameters when you go to either the LIHEAP website or the CETA website. So you'll find that information on our Facebook page as well as on our in our emails and on Meadows Eastside's website to let you know who qualifies, what do they qualify for. Coming out and doing an assessment is key to what you're eligible for. But to get to that point, you need to go to the website or make the call to say, I want them to come out and do these things. So I've often told you the story of the woman who I helped get her building done, and she has a 3-flat. She wound up getting of course, all of the general things like the faucets and the light bulbs, but she also had her home, her over 100-year-old building insulated.
Right.
And so they do the insulation. She had the replacement of any non-energy efficiency appliance. Mm-hmm. So that was freezers, refrigerators, and stoves.
Right.
It's very impactful. I think that for all of you listening, you should consider just simply having the assessment. I also think that you should go to Marketplace and look at all of the things that are available at such a discounted rate. You can get a Nest thermostat.
Correct.
Oftentimes for $1 as a part of the rate-paying community. Mm-hmm. So we talked about that a little, but the point to talking about it is we had to get there. This wasn't just an idea born out of the utilities. These are the things that people on the leadership team, people on the IQ advisory advocate for,
right,
to ensure that the community is well taken care of, and also to let the utilities know what is needed in the community.
Right. That we get our fair share. That's the bottom line. We're paying so much money into these bills and services that at the end of the day, we need something back. We need something that's going to make it a little bit better on our pockets. And that's what the leadership team is here for. This is what we do. And we need to, let everybody know that their voices count. The information that you have that you can deliver to us so that we can push it upstream to the energy companies and let them know that this is not enough. We need more.
Absolutely. So there are so many different types of organizations that can be a part of the leadership team. It's really as simple as filling out an application and saying, hey, I want to hear about these meetings. I want to be a part of these webinars. All of the meetings are done on Zoom.
Yep.
And the other part that's really important as well is how you then get that information out to your larger community. If you are doing anything in the energy efficiency space, mm-hmm. if you're doing anything in the sustainability space, as contractors, this is all great information for you, but it also helps you to help your community.
Right.
So what would you say is the average type of organizations that the IQ Advisory Council has?
Oh, it would definitely be community-based CBOs.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about our sister organization, SAC, South Austin Community Coalition Council. and it's SACC, not NAC. But we started off the same time. But they're still totally involved in the LIHEAP program. They probably service, I don't know, 4,000 people a year.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I think that it's really important to kind of move our agenda ahead as consumers, because the money is there. I'm sure you heard on the news that NICOR was trying to get an increase of $8 million, but they were only given $1 million or $1 million point. I don't know the exact number, and I don't want to misquote, but the point is they wanted to do this rate increase. So, of course, we know that this rate increase is a trickle down to us. So my question would be is, why?
It's more than a trickle down. It's a backbreaker for our communities.
It is.
If people can barely afford the bills that they have now, and then to spread that amongst the millions of people that are barely making their bills, it's just not a good idea right now. No.
It's not a good idea. And in lieu of the fact that gas, I can't say the gas is phasing out because I don't know that, but we do know that electrification is phasing in.
Definitely.
The electric heat pump, so the electric cars, there are mandates that have been made.
And in the city of Chicago, every new constructed building has to have electrification in it.
Absolutely.
They will not allow any more gas or anything.
And so we're looking at a bunch of different smart businesses and smart buildings. So it was 2 weeks ago or more, but if you go back to the show where Felicia Stanton Young was here from the Greater Englewood Chamber, one of our collaborators, then you'll remember that she talked about that as well. So I think that it's really important that we get involved. We cannot make these changes with just a few voices. It's a small time commitment to be a part of the leadership team, but it is so impactful. And the leadership team is mandated by the CEJA bill, which we've talked about. And so FEJA and CEJA, you should be familiar with at this point, but if you're not, please, you'll find it on our websites. What next? Steve, what do you suggest? What next?
Well, I think, again, we need more voices. We need more activists. We need more people on the advisory portion of this so that we can move the needle even further with these energy companies. As you just said, they're trying to raise the rates, but what are we really getting as consumers? We need more for what we're paying for, and the way we do it is through the leadership teams.
Oh yeah, I wholly agree, and I also agree that if we don't tell them no, then they don't know the answer to our question. Conversely, if we don't tell them yes, they don't know the answer to our question. So yes to air conditioners in every home. If you're doing an energy efficiency at a home, don't just give them light bulbs, give them an air conditioner. Yes to that. No to rate hikes that are breaking the backs of
the common ratepayer, right?
So we feel really passionate about this. The ICC, which we didn't mention earlier, is the Illinois Commerce Commission. And so they make the decisions on a lot of these things. Look up the ICC. See who's in charge of what. They take a hands-off approach to a lot of things. And
they need to be made more accountable.
And they need to be made more accountable to tell citizens that, we're here for you, and then not be there for you is not what we want to see. We want to see a great sustainable future. So I would like to thank you, Steve,
Thanks for
taking
having
the
me.
time to come. I'm so excited to have you here, and I'm excited about the prospect of seeing your show. Can you tell them briefly the name of your show and how they can
Yes,
see
we
it?
actually at Northwest Austin Council, we have a show that we run from 6 to 8 every Sunday. We've been doing it actually for going on 4 years. We call it Welcome to Northwest Austin Council, WNAC, where we actually say West Side people talking about West Side issues right here on the West Side.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank Meadows Eastside Executive Board members for their sponsorship, and Lauren Wright at Wright Style Beauty for always preparing my luscious locks and my looks, in South Shore for all of the things that she does, and of course the talented staff here at CAN TV for this wonderful opportunity. And remember, you can follow Size Green Scene on Facebook and YouTube, and you can also email me your suggestions and questions at sizegreenscene@gmail.com. So until next time, stay charged up. Let's power our planet sustainably.